I am just so excited to be here and to be sharing this work in this way. My name is Jessica Cole, and I am a This Naked Mind certified coach. And I really was inspired to share the things that really helped bring me true freedom from alcohol and feeling that I have from finding a compassion based approach and the feeling of freedom that I found with the knowing that everything came from within myself just really inspired me to become a coach myself and really create this 3-step system for embodying a mindset of continuous growth that there's no room, there's no way to fail when we use these 3 steps on this journey. So I have a lot to cover in this 1 hour. I am going to share my screen and do a presentation for you. And welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is really about cultivating a mindset of continuous growth on your path to true freedom from alcohol, however that looks to you. And this is really all about using your own power to get the change that you want on your terms. So one of the big themes that I carry with myself in this journey is that you are not powerless, you are the power. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who I am, why this is important to me, and really why I'm here sharing this. And the 3 steps that it's something that the 3 steps are compassion, curiosity, and continuing to show up. And this was a theme throughout my journey. And I really wanted to figure out how this worked for me and what do I wish I almost started practicing earlier, because it's one thing to tell ourselves to be curious, and it's another as opposed to feeling it and practicing it and knowing what that really means. And so I'm going to dive into these 3 concepts and give you the tools you need to start using this wherever you're at on your journey, because we cannot practice this enough. And at the end of this, I am going to talk about my small group program that I'm opening up. And as I mentioned, we have that special giveaway and a few other offers, but that's not why I'm here. This is not a sales pitch. This is really to give you honest tools that helped me on my journey. And the reason I'm here is because I was addicted to alcohol and I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't like who I was, and I wasn't the problem. The problem was that I was blaming myself. The problem was that the way that alcohol works in every brain and body, combined with my beliefs, it kept me stuck. And neither one of those things, how alcohol works, how addictive it is, and the beliefs that I had about myself, none of that really has to do with who I really was. And when we understand how alcohol works, and when we learn the tools to find compassion for ourselves and dig into the reasons why we drink, it just helps us move forward in a way that without shame into a place where we long for. And for me, that was freedom from alcohol. And now it just the complete change from feeling stuck to now feeling like unlimited possibilities. It's just really what inspired me to be here. And it all came from within me. So this is a little bit more about my own personal story. When I was around 12 or 13 years old, I was labeled an alcoholic by someone that I love. It was out of love and protection, but I didn't understand that at that time. What I understood was that there was already something wrong with me that I had no control over. And it really caused this almost fight within myself of, well, who can tell me who I am and what I am? And so when I became a little bit older and started experimenting with alcohol, it was really this mentality of like, well, you can't tell me what to do. So I was rebelling against this belief that somebody else had put on me. And then when I started drinking, I really started using alcohol as a way to put the other parts of me, other than being an alcoholic, wrong. So I was making parts about myself wrong. And in turn, I started coping with my anxiety that I didn't understand. And that's really how my journey with alcohol began. So I was using it to soothe anxiety that I didn't know that I had. And I was also building this part of myself that I already believed was wrong about me. So everything I did, every regret I had, every mistake I made, mostly involving alcohol, went into that place. And then when I went to college, it was just so socially accepted. I thought it was completely normal. It felt absolutely normal to drink every day and many times to excess. And so it only took 3 years to just physically become addicted to alcohol. While because it was so socially accepted, I had no idea that it was causing my almost debilitating anxiety. And I just felt so lost. And it felt impossible to envision my life without alcohol. So I really, around that time, only 3 or 4 years after starting to drink regularly, did I know that alcohol was absolutely ruining my life. But it was almost laughable how impossible it felt not to have it in my life. And so the next few years was really, I call it, it just felt like this downward spiral of self-loathing and getting deeper into using alcohol to cope. And I think part of the reason why it was definitely the hardest part of my journey was because I didn't know how to ask for help. Nobody knew that I was feeling this way. On the outside, maybe I just looked like, well, I have no idea what I looked like, but I know that I wasn't asking for help because I felt like it was my fault. And I kind of dug myself out of out of that dark place when I really just had the I really wanted to become a mom. And 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 then my relationship with alcohol changed there as well, and it started becoming a call for me time. And I was always chasing this me time, and it always involved a drink, even though I knew that the alcohol was taking me away from myself the most. And being a mom, I was exhausted. And being someone who drank, I wasn't getting any nourishing sleep. And so the decision fatigue, it was just too much. I didn't know any other way to calm the chaos in my head. And when we have that battle in our heads, the only way that I knew how to end that battle was to drink. And so there was this underlying piece that I knew that I wasn't powerless, but I just didn't know how to ask for help. And because of that label and because of that shame connected to having a problem, being an alcoholic with alcohol, there was a part of me that I knew that um, I would never admit to being powerless, even if that felt like the only option to move forward. And then I started thinking about what what would be possible? What if this is possible? And I started realizing that I didn't want to miss any more precious moments with my kids. It was time for me to put myself first and make alcohol small. I was just so tired of being so tired. And I mentioned just running on fumes, getting no sleep, that it was keeping me from myself the most. And really that joy that gave me so much purpose, seeing the joy in my children. I knew that that joy was within myself. I knew it was still there. And that's what I wanted to feel again. And I think the biggest why that I wrote down in my journal, that I knew I deserved better, really feeling that I deserved better, that was a huge one for me. So if you're here and you're listening, or if you're watching this on replay, just think to yourself, what is alcohol holding you back from? And let me know in the comments if you have an answer for that now. um, but these are some of my whys. And then I came across this naked mind. So it was time for me to put myself first. I knew that I wanted to find a different way. And I came across this naked mind. And we're talking compassion based approach. I started asking the question, what if this is possible? And I think of that as like that spark of insight, that rewire that changed it all for me, going from I don't think this is possible to what if it is possible. And it's just incredible what that curiosity can open up and make possible. I started really believing that I'm not alone in this. It's okay to share. I don't have to be ashamed. And the big one is that it wasn't my fault. I truly believed that I got myself into this mess. I should have known better. It's my job to get myself out. And and so I became certified. I wanted to be a part of this change. I wanted to be a part of this new way of healing from alcohol use. And it worked for me. I knew that it worked for thousands of other people, and there's a reason why. Like there's a reason why this works, and it doesn't come from anywhere outside of yourself. So the reason it works is in you, and it was in me. And this is what I think is so beautiful, and this is why I wanted to share these 3 steps, because I just haven't seen it put out there in this way. But with these 3 things, like we this is how we can use our own power. And we we are absolutely the power. We are not powerless. But I really wanted to, it's one thing to say that we do, and it's another thing to believe it and to practice it. So these are just some statistics about how incredible this compassion-based approach, like it just works. And it works because of what you already have within you. So we have compassion and curiosity and continuing to show up. So I have it in a flow there, because it really there's there's no way to escape this mindset once you embrace it, because there's always going to be compassion in these moments. And I have this kind of thread of awareness floating in the background, because that's kind of an overarching piece of this as well, is just being aware that we have this power within us to choose compassion and to stay curious and to continue showing up for yourself in any capacity. And that could just simply be the awareness that it's possible to do that. And here's a beautiful quote about compassion: as we learn to have compassion for ourselves, the circle of compassion for others, what and whom we can work with, and how becomes wider. There we go. So compassion. What is compassion? It's a deep understanding and caring about the pain of yourself and others. It involves being kind without judgment and fostering healing connections. Sometimes it's hard to put words to something that I believe is just such this feeling inside. It's like that shift when we can feel the shame and the blame, or any sense of discomfort that we want to escape with feelings of that shame and blame. We can say, well, what else is here for us? Where can I find compassion in this moment? Because it is there. And why is this so important? Well, it ignites positive change, promotes our self-acceptance, it reduces self-criticism and fosters motivation. It helps us regulate our emotions and build trust within ourselves. And it helps with mindfulness and that awareness I was talking about as well. Compassion ignites positive change. And there is so much science behind how positive emotion creates change within our behavior. And when it's connected to what we're going to talk about after this, how to identify and rewire those limiting beliefs that we have, when it's combined with positive emotions, which can arise through this compassion, it just builds new pathways towards real change that lasts. So, how do we cultivate compassion for ourselves on this journey? One of the, I think, first and such an important step is to just understand how alcohol works. And I don't have to reinvent the wheel on this one. We have This Naked Mind, the book by Annie Grace. And I think that book and William Porter's Alcohol Explained were really honestly the only two books that I think I've read on this subject, but we understand how alcohol works in every brain and body. It just can set the stage for understanding some of the reasons why we're feeling certain ways about alcohol. And see that your behaviors and the way you talk to yourself is rooted in protection and survival. So let's remember that there's a whole separate definition to addiction that I just love. And addiction is it's a comfort seeking ritual that has become habitualized. So it's really, there's a part of us that is seeking comfort and protection, and our brain learns that we need this substance in order to survive. So we can find compassion in just understanding the survival mechanism that kicks in when we use an addictive substance like alcohol. There's a tool that is in your workbook, and there's actually two. There's a self-compassion meditation and visualization exercise. And then I also included the exercise from This Naked Mind because it's just so accessible, and it's so, I want to say simple, but it's just something that we can do to write down and really visualize compassion for ourselves, where we can revisit places or parts of us that feel shame and guilt and blame and really connect with that part and show compassion. So those are in the workbook, so you can take that tool and use it whenever it feels right. We have mindfulness practices, which is amazing, which of course we will offer again in the relaunch of our Present AF Club. And remembering that we're always doing the best with the tools that we have, and finding compassion in that if we're repeating a pattern, when we have this awareness and this ability to stay curious, we're always learning and we're always doing the best that we can. This is another exercise that is in the workbook that we've put together, which is a photo of your younger self. And so a way that we can cultivate compassion is to really think of ourselves as that innocent, beautiful 5-year-old that is within us and is still within us always, and really connect with that. And the noticing self-talk is just another tool to just pay attention to how you talk to yourself and think, would I talk this way to a 5-year-old? Would I talk to my 5-year-old self in this way? And without judgment, but just making note of it, becoming more aware of our self-talk is another incredible tool to start opening the space up for compassion. I included here a little 5 secrets to zero shame. I put these together as really like 5 quick reminders of something you can do to remember why you can give yourself compassion, to remember how to give yourself compassion. And number 1 is that there's nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. We're talking about a super addictive substance here. And another reminder that we can remind ourselves is that you're here, you're doing it. And that's going to be another step on this in this presentation here. You cannot fail when you continue to show up for yourself, and celebrating every moment you can celebrate that you're here, that you're on this journey. Just having a goal of wanting freedom, or whatever your goal is on this journey with alcohol, just knowing that you have that's showing up for yourself, and that is creating a space for change just by being here and showing up for yourself in this way. We can never fall forward. We fall forward, we never fall back. There's always something to learn in every moment of this process, even especially in the hardest of moments. There is gold hiding to shine light on exactly where we get to go next. We get to question everything. Yes. And so this is going to bring us into our next section, which is all about curiosity. and you are whole, you are loved. And this is really exactly what I almost opened this up with, is remembering that our thoughts don't know who we really are. Our behaviors don't define who we really are. And whatever voice, whatever part of you that brought you on this journey, we're okay and we're worthy and you are so loved. And I'm just so happy that you're here. All right. So curiosity is the spark that ignites change. I don't know if you guys can see this part that I'm moving around or not, but I'll just. What is curiosity? It is the spark that ignites the flame of positive change. It invites us to explore the unknown, question assumptions, and challenge the status quo. Being open to curiosity is a superpower. Having the ability to rewire beliefs, this is a human superpower that we are all capable of. Leaning in with curiosity, having that courage and that openness to lean in with curiosity, it doesn't come naturally to everybody. So this is something that we get to practice. And I really believe like that curiosity of what else could be possible, where these might be my beliefs, but just because I believe it, does that necessarily mean that it is 100% true? And I think that this is one of the most, it's so powerful. Just having the ability to stay curious. Why is curiosity so important? Well, I think it drives active engagement, encourages continuous learning and adaptation. Neuroplasticity, this is our superpower. Curiosity stimulates the brain, fostering neuroplasticity by forming new connections. I mentioned earlier that thought of, in this really hard moment when I think, I don't know if this is possible for me. This might not be possible for me. Just that openness to what if this could be possible, that literally sparks new pathways, and it just creates a path for so much possibility. And that's just by allowing those curious thoughts to come in. It is a true catalyst for change, fueling motivation. It's a powerful catalyst to change the behaviors and fostering a new mindset, which is what we're talking about here. So how do we stay curious? How do we practice curiosity? Question everything. This is a great thing, great place to start. Just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. I believe it was Coach Sam Goldfinch. He said it for the first time, and when he said thoughts don't know anything about who you really are, I just realized like we can separate ourselves from our thoughts. So we can embrace an open mind. Notice your preconceived notions and embrace new possibilities. There's another book called Liminal Thinking, which is really cool if you're into kind of diving into this thinking thing and our belief system, but really talks about how we're all in our own belief bubbles that make us feel that we understand, that may help us make sense of the world. But understanding that just because I'm in this bubble, it doesn't mean that it's the only bubble that exists, and that everyone else's bubbles probably make a lot of sense to them. But being open to the idea, and I think of this as this curiosity of kind of like leaning against that bubble and just having the willingness to open up and see what else could be on the outside, because there's a bigger bubble on the outside of it and then a bigger one. We get to lean into those new bubbles. So this is really cool. So we can learn techniques to rewire our limiting thoughts and beliefs. And I'm certified This Naked Mind coach. Annie Grace has an incredible ACT technique. There's also Byron Katie. It's a little bit different, but this is another example of how to catch our thoughts and ask questions to reframe them in a way that we really believe and that is more empowering. So I've created a method that aligns with how I found myself talking to myself going through this process with the ACT technique. I just found myself using different words to find that belief and to feel that belief and to embody a new belief. And so I've created my own method. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here or pretend like I created this, but this is, you get to choose what feels good to you. So I'm going to teach you, it's in the workbook. It's all laid out, this new method, but it really aligns with my coaching methods as well. So I'm going to dive into that to give you an idea of how to find a belief that is limiting and then how to rewire it. So I'll do a brief overview and the rest in detail, and also a worksheet so that you can take this and start practicing it yourself is also in the workbook, which you should have gotten in your email. But Sarah, if you have not yet, you can put that in the chat as well. So this is what I use and what I call the free method. So first thing we do is to find and feel this thought and ask yourself, how does it make me function? How does it make me behave? And we can ask ourselves the reality of this thought. Is it true? And that's when we can rewire this belief. And so we can take this thought, and I used as an example, I can't relax. So I feel, I might recognize myself feeling overwhelmed and feeling anxious, and you can just start feeling it in your body. And this is why I really like the feel part, because sometimes the thought just is obvious. You hear yourself say, oh, I can't relax. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm thinking. Sometimes it's a feeling and you just feel uncomfortable or upset or whatever it is. And you can kind of go back to that feeling and think, what thought was I having in that moment? Or what belief is kind of stirring up this feeling in my body? And so for I can't relax, for example, I found that thought. How does it feel in my body? I feel overwhelmed. I feel stuck. I feel like I don't know what to do. How does it make me function? I might get upset. I might freeze. I might drink. I might how does it make me behave? So the reality of I can't relax, is that really true? Okay, I know that I've relaxed before, so I guess it's not true that I literally can't relax. So that's okay. I can believe that. What's a rewire? I always love to rewire my thoughts thinking, what do I need right now in this moment? Or if it's I can't do something, what can I do in this moment? And so that's that curiosity of what can I do? Well, I can take a deep breath. So that was my rewired thought. And it does help to use similar language to your original thought, and make it as clear and concise as you can. So I can take a deep breath, which I'm going to do right now. Instantly, I felt the difference in that new thought. And by feeling it, by embodying that new thought, by actually taking a deep breath, it made it so much easier for me to use that thought the next time I had that original thought. This is the power of it. And this is why I added embody to my technique, because remembering to just really take that new thought in and see how it feels in your body is just so important, because it's one thing to tell yourself to do something. It's another thing to feel its truth. So I really wanted to put emphasis on that embodiment, and then experiment, put it into action. When I notice myself thinking, oh, I can't relax, I instantly go to, okay, I can take a deep breath, and I start taking a deep breath. Notice how your behavior is changing. So that is an overview of one way to rewire, access to that in the workbook as well. The only way to fail is to stop trying. So this brings us to step 3, which is to continue showing up. Keep showing up for you. When you continue to show up for yourself with, you guessed it, compassion and curiosity, there's just no room for failure. And I don't know how more to put it than that because I don't know. I know that I often felt like I was failing. And when we continue to show up for ourselves, when we say, well, what else is possible here? It's failure is a myth because there's always something to learn. And when we can stay curious and compassionate, we can really find what it is that we're looking for. And sometimes it doesn't mean that there's like we're going to find the answer, but just being open leaves that space open for whatever it is we get to uncover will be there for us, and trust that it will be there for us when the time is right, when we are ready for that. So why is it so important for you to continue showing up? That, what I just said there, but also you're the only person who knows what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what feels like the right next step. And on this process, sometimes it looks so different for everybody. And what might look like a setback for one, even to ourselves, is a huge step forward. So only we know, and there's just no right or wrong way to do this. And I mentioned having that trust that when we stay open to these three things, we're always on time. We're not behind. And you deserve you deserve it when we continue to show up, even if that's just, like I said, being open to staying curious by saying maybe there's something else possible here. You are reinforcing to yourself that you deserve it and that you are worthy. And even if that doesn't feel true yet, by continuing to show up, you are reinforcing that you know that there is a part of you that does. So how do you keep showing up for yourself? Just stay curious. Practice shifting judgment to curiosity. And that's also part of your workbook. And there's another exercise in there, which is called finding the spark in the dark. And I talk about this like in those moments that feel like failure. This is an exercise that you can use to find that gold, to find what might be there for you, to find that information that by staying open and compassionate and curious will arise for you right when you need it. So I have that, the find the dark spark in the dark exercise. That's in your workbook as well. And find a community that you feel safe in, whether you're just going to a call or showing up on a connection call or posting in the page or even just watching, like without any pressure to do anything a certain way, just finding a place that you feel safe in, safe to not have all the answers, safe to feel stuck in, like it's all okay. But finding a community, finding a way to show up for yourself in that way, practicing mindfulness and listening to yourself talk, just connecting with that part of you that has so much to tell you. These are all ways. Oh, you guys, this is so awesome. I know I haven't been able to check the chat, but I am finishing up here, and then hopefully I might be able to open up for some questions if I have the settings correct. So we talked about compassion and curiosity and continuing to show up, and there's one more important C word, and that is connection. Yes. So find, as I said, a community, find a way, reach out to me. It's just so helpful to really embrace that we're not alone in this. And I was inspired to become a coach because of how uncomfortable this can be to talk about. and finding that safe space, especially one that's grounded in compassion without judgment and curiosity over shame and blame. It's just so incredible. So I mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit about my small group opening up. I'm just so excited. And it was just such a huge part of my journey, finding a small community with coaching. Only you know when it's what feels right to you. And investing in myself, putting myself first, and finding that safe space when I knew that I was just really ready to do this, it was just everything for my journey. And so I knew that one day I would love to offer a similar safe space for a small group of women. So it's going to be 3 to 5 women. And if you are interested in having one of those spots in the small group, there's a link that we can just have a 30-minute chat to see if it's a right fit. And I'm also offering for that small group, not only am I offering it for $500 off, it's also my beta program. I'm going to be building it. I mean, it's incredible, but it's a new space. It's a new platform. I'm so excited, but I am offering it for this first initial beta. I'm just so excited to get this started. $500 off, and I call it my power hour sessions. So it's a full hour of coaching with a personalized action plan and a follow-up from me. So I'm adding that on top of the small group, so you have some one-on-one coaching as well. And we also, yes, so $500 off. So definitely be in touch if you're interested in small group with me. I am launching it in mid to the end of this month in January. So I'm just so excited to do that. And yes, we are relaunching the Present AF Club. I'm so excited. There's a few people, I think, on this call that were in our original group, and it's just going to, it's such a special space. And we have mindfulness practices, yoga classes, guided meditations. I'm going to be doing a monthly coaching call, and I have such an incredible community of coaches that are excited to guest coach. And we're going to have connection calls, and it's just an awesome private space off of Facebook where we can connect over video and through chat. It's just so incredible. And anyone that registered for this class and anyone who was in the original Present AF Club can join in the next week with 2 full months completely free. And one person on this call is actually going to win a lifetime membership, and that's going to be so exciting. So Sarah, you are in charge of getting everyone who joined live today and picking a winner randomly from there. So as I mentioned, like anybody watching this on replay, only you know if coaching or joining a small group is the right next step for you. I started drinking because somebody told me, thought they could tell me what to do. So I will never do that. And this is an offering for when it feels right, when and if coaching feels right for you. So I am here for anybody who would like to reach out and ask any more questions. And thank you, Annie. She said some really sweet things about me and my coaching. And I'm just so grateful for This Naked Mind and the community, and to be able to continue my journey, continue my growth in this way. So, yep, here's a couple links. So, Sarah, if you didn't drop those yet, perhaps you can drop the link to my chat if you want to chat with me about joining the small group, and also the link to join our Present AF Club, which we are just relaunching. So that's going to be just so exciting. And of course, the workbook, if you didn't get that, let me know. Awesome. Oh, you guys, thank you so much for listening and joining. And I am going to stop my share and just see if there's any questions before I sign off. Yes, thank you, Sarah. And I don't just sent you the winner of Pool of Participants live in the Zoom. Jess just sent you winner from the Pool of Participants live in the Zoom. Oh, shoot. Where did you send it to me? Okay, let's see. Okay, I have a message. Okay, you guys. So the winner of the lifetime membership to the Present AF Club is Pat. Woo! Yay! I'm so excited. Oh, I love it. Okay, great. So thank you all for joining me. And thank you for following on Facebook as well if you're watching that live. I will be in touch with links to the workbook, and I can't wait to chat about any of the resources or anything that, yay, Pat, anything you might have questions for. I'm so proud that I believed in myself and I followed that inner voice that brought me here, because it's possible and everything was within myself just as it is in you. And I am here for you if there's anything you need. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you soon.